I don't know about in India, but in the United States, we don't have ecology courses so much until you get to college. But there are trophic pyramids in nature, also called energy pyramids, where every layer enables the layer above it with a 10% loss. So the sun grows plants, the plants feed herbivores, the herbivores feed carnivores, and at each stage you only process 10% of the incoming energy. So a lion is 1,000th of the solar energy that got to his stage. If you think about a human, this is an old stat, but reasonably accurate. It takes 300 trout to support one man for 1 year. The trout consumes 90,000 frogs that consume 27 million grasshoppers that live off 1,000 tons of grass. So all of the things in nature's ecosystem follow this sort of trajectory. So if you were a fish and you were hungry, which you always are, there's a seat over there, a couple of them. Hi, welcome. Where would you want to be in this stream if you were a fish and you were hungry? Gautam? Upstream? Gautam? You would want to be here because this is an eddy that doesn't have a lot of movement, and so you don't have to expend a lot of your energy to get energy in the form of bugs and other things that are coming downstream. So the same way that grizzly bears stand here because they have to expend a very little amount of energy to get a big caloric payback. So animals were the first investors. They go through life seeking calories, and to get calories, they have to expend calories. And this relationship, this ratio, is central in the natural world. There's a revenue, which is the gazelle, and there's an expense, which is the chasing. And you could miss 10 in a row, and then if you get the 11th gazelle, you have enough for cellular maintenance, reproduction, raising your young, etc. This is in biology called energy return over energy investment, or EROI. I wrote my PhD thesis on this topic, measuring the costs of things in the human world, but not in dollar or rupee terms, but in energy and material terms. So could you imagine that a cheetah gets a 200-to-1 payoff when it catches a gazelle? And then all of a sudden on the savannah, there are less gazelles. So it has to chase mice. Might be easier to catch a mice, but a rabbit, but a rabbit is much smaller. So its payoff from each of its endeavors is 50-to-1. Or if you're out of rabbits, you have to chase mice. You don't have to spend a lot of energy, but you get very little energy. A cheetah would have to eat a lot of mice. So this biophysical concept of energy return is very important in the natural world and also the human world. One more concept in energy. There's something called the fourth law of thermodynamics, which is called the maximum power principle, which states that organisms and ecosystems in nature self-organize so as to be better able to access an energy gradient. So if you think of a tree, maybe a banyan tree in Auroville, it doesn't have one leaf and it doesn't have a billion leaves. It has some intermediate amount of leaves that maximize the surface area that it can degrade incoming sunlight. And by the way, if you have a banyan tree and one of the paths or a cement road next to it, which one, if you're standing by it, will be cooler? Under the tree, because the sun, the ground is absorbing the sun and refracting it back. Whereas if you're under a tree, the sun is being turned into more tree. So there's energy everywhere in nature, and we don't usually see it.